Welcome to Comic-Con After Ellen. We are here with Kristen, and she's a board member here of the Prism board. This is Comic-Con. First of all, it's my first Comic-Con, so if I'm stumbling, it's because I feel like what is happening. It's amazing. I am shell-shocked. So tell the viewers at home a little bit what Comic-Con is and how Prism sort of fits into that.
Okay, well, Comic-Con is like the convention for geekdom. I've actually been attending, this is my 27th year, so I've actually watched it from being a tiny little convention in the downtown convention center, San Diego, and then this huge convention center they have here. People complain these days that it's just so huge that you can't get passes, and unfortunately, that's just the state of life, you know. It is.
I mean, geekdom is at an all-time popularity now, which is very ironic, kind of, right?
Yeah. Well, the big turning point for Comic-Con in terms of its growth has been Hollywood. Hollywood has totally embraced this convention. A lot of what people see when you go out to websites now, whether entertainment websites or regular news websites, is they're saying, you know, here's the latest from Comic-Con because these movies are coming out, these directors are coming out, the stars are coming out, and they're also mining material from comic books as well as, you know, geek-type fantasy books, science fiction books, so on and so forth. So it's all ties together very nicely.
Very cool, very cool. Well, tell me about Prism. When did it start? How active? You're a board member. Tell us what we need to know about Prism.
Okay, well, Prism started about 10 years ago, and it is a nonprofit organization, and it is about promoting queer material by creators, publishers who are friendly to us, as well as fans. So it's all about getting the word out, promoting material for people who are artists who are trying to like make their break and who need help. We also do a grant, which we call the Queer Press Grant, that is open every year. Right now we're in open submissions that ends in September. If you go to our website, prism.org, you'll be able to see that we have criteria for people who have they're on the verge of printing something, graphic novel wise. It's open to all orientations, genders, as long as the material is LGBT friendly. We have a history of giving grants to people as long as their material is just high quality and ready to go. And we always promote their material also at the booth itself. And then as you see behind us, we have a lot of other material that we try to promote from regular producers or publishers as well as the independent publishers as well.
That's great. That's great. So you said that you've been to Comic-Con all these years, but how long has Prism been a part of Comic-Con?
Prism's been a part since day one. Okay. So a lot of people who founded Prism are actually from the industry. They're also geeks themselves. And it was really this need that they felt like, there wasn't an organization that was tying everything together. And as you can see here, this booth is very lively. People know every year, come to this booth because this is going to be like the central hub of, either meeting creators who are up and coming or people that you've known their material for a while, as well as, finding out the latest works that are out there. And as you can see, we also do t-shirts, fundraising for the Queer Press Grant with totes and mugs and things like that.
Wow, that's really, really great. Okay, so say someone doesn't know the first thing on where to start, where to get started diving into sort of literature like this, cartoons. Is it just cartoons? Tell me, I'm sorry, is it just cartoons or what do you even call them cartoons? Is that insulting? I don't know.
Usually
animation?
Animation's like, if you want to be like snotty and scholastic about it.
I do.
Okay.
No.
But the people who are like honest about it, they will admit they've watched cartoons since they were kids, and there's nothing to be ashamed about for that. And I think that's the first lesson about being a geek is that, there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you like zombies, we just had somebody who was upset we didn't have lesbian zombie stuff, but there is that audience. But at the same time, as you see, we have a lot of erotica material. We also have a lot of innocent material of people just having romance stories for their orientation. We have a lot of trans material. It's always good to kind of say what is really your interest. We have superhero material, so like here, let me show you some products that we have out here. So like we have this, which is Charm School. This was an independent book that was released by a woman named Elizabeth Watterson. It's very friendly to teenagers, adults, very sophisticated. She's actually bringing it back in print. It was released originally in the 1990s. So if you've been a fan for that long, you kind of remember this, and a lot of people have a lot of fond feelings about that. So this is a great time, check this kind of material out. Also, if you are familiar with the movie Blue is the Warmest Color, the original graphic novel, we have that here at the booth. You can also purchase it online. Highly recommended because the graphic novel is different than the movie, and definitely worth reading if you want something that is very queer friendly. And if you like superheroes, the big one is always Batwoman. So if you really want to see somebody who's a badass lesbian, this is the book to get. And a major
heard it here first.
Yes, well, and DC Comics. So support it. promote it, and if you say Batwoman, everyone knows who you're talking about.
Absolutely. So talk to me just a little bit, and thank you so much for the recommendations. Will you talk to me just a little bit about how queer work fits into the overall work of this genre? Like, why is it important for there to be queer representation, and how do you see that it fits into the total picture of sort of this genre?
You mean the geekness, I guess, as it were? Well, it's like everybody wants to see themselves or stories that they are familiar with or characters that they identify with. So it's no different than if, it's somebody of a different race or somebody, women are struggling constantly to have, credible material and credible representation. So the LGBT community is just the same. We want to be able to see characters that we admire and respect. And then you've got people who say, I've got stories that I think are worth presenting, and they'll create them themselves. So it's definitely just like another group of an already minority of society that just says we have a voice, and there's people who want to listen.
Very good. And speaking of that voice, this is the first year that we've seen any sort of LGBT panel or trans panel at Comic-Con, is that correct?
Well, this was the first year we did a trans panel. Okay, so Prism's actually, every year we always do a panel proposal, and we usually do 4 to 6. We are also the ones in charge of the Gays in Comics panel, which is now up to its 27th year or something like that, up in the 20s. We always try to find what's the liveliest or most hot topic of the year, and we make proposals around that. And we have a very good relationship with San Diego Comic-Con that they usually approve everything that we do. So. Yeah.
Can we talk just a little bit more about the trans panel, what that was, and what kind of, we'll probably cut to some footage of that or that we have, but.
Trans panel, like I said, we know it's a hot topic for now, and one of our board members is trans, so she was obviously very vested in that, and she had a lot of connections on the internet as well as with creators, and so she pulled it together as our first time, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but you mentioned there's going to be footage. Everybody is glad that we got the approval to do it, and we're planning to do it again. And again, we have a lot of other topics, so it isn't just trans, but we do horror. We did, geek year in review, which was the first time we did that, and we also did young readers. So every year was a different aspect of it.
Which AfterEllen was involved with that geek year in review, so thanks for having our managing editor. And so you were signing just now for an hour. Tell me about the projects or what's going on. Tell us about you.
Well, okay, apart from being an activist, I am a fiction writer. I actually wrote a fantasy book, and let me cut over to that.
Yeah, grab it. Fantasy.
So it was a book that I had written, and it's called Creatures of Grace. It's the first book in a series in a fantasy world, and it's very feminist. It actually it's actually achieved the Pacific Book Awards fantasy finalist of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There's actually going to be another book focused on an LGBT pirate crew in the same universe or the same world that I'm going to be releasing in November. Another project that I'm doing, and I thought I had promos that I think actually AfterEllen would be very interested in.
Promos. Comic-Con.
So, material here.
Yeah.
So, a couple of years ago, I had written a lesbian erotica novel on the internet, so I'm going to turn it into a graphic novel with the Kickstarter with an artist named Marco Torrini. He's from Italy. Fantastic artist and such, but he's expensive. So we're launching a Kickstarter in September, and like I said, I want to make it, and I've made it very clear to him that, he draws beautiful women, and I, said, one's Latina, one's Caucasian, an American Caucasian, and I want to make it very sophisticated and very intelligent and not insulting to women, and he's totally on board with that. Like I said, the title is Deseo, and, when we get to that point, we'll definitely send information after Ellen to help promote that.
Awesome. Okay, now one last thing. What you want people out there to know about Prism and Comic-Con that they might not know? Like, is there one thing that if you could have us take away, like, what's the first time I'm seeing this? What's one thing you want people to know?
I would say that if you feel like you need recommendations of saying, I kind of like this kind of genre, like I said, whether it's superheroes, horror, zombie, whatever, Prism's really a good place to start. We always post information about products that are coming up, and we try to support artists who are, trying to get their work published. And we always, we're fans ourselves, and we will try to say, if we don't carry it or we don't know it, we will try to refer you to the people who do.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Congratulations on a successful Comic-Con and a signing, and we'll see you next year. Thanks, AfterEllen. Bye-bye.